YouTube? Thank you for tuning into another video, and we're gonna kick off 2024. I'm actually bringing you guys something that's relatively new to the market. I'm going over his waves right now with the Blur Blade. Now, the Blur Blade is pretty much the recreation of the Andis Fat Blade. There definitely is going to be a few key differences, and if you want me to go over a detailed review, definitely let me know. But the concept is that this blade is so much thicker that when you have it wide open, it's supposed to cut a lot closer to, let's say, a 1.5 guard. And depending on how you zero gap it, you could have it cut really close, tight to skin when it's closed. But in my case, I was more interested in how wide it opened up, so I wasn't worried at all about a zero gap. I wanted it to be nice and wide open to the fullest potential, right? So I have it on the Stylecraft Instinct Clipper, and I just wanted to, this was actually my first time really fully pulling out the blade and putting it to the test. I was so curious about it. Now, if you want to do a with the grain cut and you don't have the Blur Blade, which not many people do, that's totally fine. You can actually use like a number 1 guard open. Maybe you can use a 1.5 closed, just depending on the texture of your client's hair. But we're gonna graze over these waves, and he gets a nice high and tight fade. It's actually pretty much gonna be the Nas cut. You can see that he has that curved part in right there. So you guys are used to me fading, starting with the zero guard closed. And this pretty much, when you have this Blur Blade adjusted wide open, how I have it, when you close that guard, it's pretty much about the same length, right at that half guard close. So in this case, you know, I'm using a new machine. I haven't used it before this video and really gotten used to it. So it will take some adjustment getting used to it, but the fading system isn't really going to be too different. In this case though, I started with that Blur Blade all the way closed, and little by little, I'm going to work my notches on the way up. So that's the cool thing about this blade. It actually has saved me some time, especially the more and more that I got used to it. It has saved me some time as far as cutting hair goes, because you're not going to have to spend time switching between your zero guard, your 1 guard, maybe even your 2 guard, just depending on whether you're going with the grain or so. It definitely has saved me time in that aspect. I found that the best way to fade with it is starting all the way closed and then working my way up. If I have longer length hair, then I could even use the same blade to do a little bit of clipper over comb. So let me go ahead and let you guys watch this as I work my way up higher and higher, and then as soon as we're done with this blade, the Blur Blade, then I'll go back to my regular master blade and we'll bald out the bottom and fade it out. And as always, we're going to pretty much be using mostly Stylecraft tools today. We're going to be using the Instinct. I'm pretty sure we'll be using the Saber trimmer, the black one, the Gamma skin clipper. So if you want to save money using any of those tools, you can always use my discount code TitoCuts. That'll save you 15% on that. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but in the description they did give me a discount code for you guys, so definitely check the description for the discount code on this blade. So far so good. Now, is it a perfect blade? No. The thing is that this blade in particular, now customer service told me this is an accident and it wasn't supposed to be like that, and they're gonna send me a replacement. So I will, when I do receive the replacement blade, I definitely will update you guys. I haven't gotten it yet, but what happened was that the metal, it's not as heavy duty as the Andis Fat Blade was. You might remember that Fat Blade was really thick and really heavy and dense. This one is a little more lightweight, which isn't a bad thing, but the tip of the blade was way too sharp. Now, if you use the curve of the blade, which is how it's intended to be used, it works great. As you can see, there was no snags, no pulls, but it took me a little while to really get used to it, because if you use it like a regular clipper blade, at least with how sharp the tip of my blade came out, it's definitely it can slice. So I'm gonna wait until, for me to really make my recommendation for you guys to go out and get this, I'm gonna wait until they send me the fixed blade with the dulled out tip. I'm not gonna wanna tell you guys to go get something that is a little bit too sharp and could possibly risk your client's skin, right? So I wouldn't recommend just yet to get it, at least from my word. If you're gonna get it off my word, wait a little longer for me to get the fixed version, because like I said, they said it was a mistake. So, but I did want to show you guys here. Like I said, it does have its uses, and once that sharp tip issue is resolved, then it's going to be an amazing tool for you to have on your station. You saw that I started with that fat blade all the way closed, and as you can see, it actually matches up perfectly to the Andis Master when it's wide open. So I started closed with the blur blade, and I opened it up on the way up, and I'm using the regular master blade now to open, wide open, and it matched perfectly. So this is going to make the fading down process even easier. So as you can see, little by little, I've gone closing the lever, just little by little by little as I work my way down, and it made the process seamless, guys. It definitely was something that helped me be more efficient with this haircut. You can see we're barely 5-6 minutes into the fade, right? By the time that we get around to the other side, let's see how long it'll take, maybe 8 minutes. But that took care of the whole blend on the side, from dark on top to skin tight on the bottom. And then you just have to worry about balding out, right? So it's definitely a good tool. It has a lot of potential. I'm not gonna recommend it yet though. I need to get that replacement blade before I fully put my name on the line to recommend this blade. If you guys are not familiar with the fading down process, it's definitely one that's known for being more efficient. All fading systems have their benefits, but with the fade down system, sometimes it's a little bit easier to get a really soft and easy transition. Let's say if you start at the very top of your fade, you would start, let's say, with the 2 open, and you just graze over the hair with the 2 open all the way until it's nice and even. Then you take that 2 closed and you just incrementally work a little bit lower, and you go in with that 2 closed. And then after you're done with the 2 closed, if you're using 1.5 guards, you can take that 1.5 open, go over it, and then with every single time you go lower and lower and lower, from the 2 to the 1.5 to the 1 to the 0, it's gonna slowly lighten up the fade as you go down. So the key is that as you go down, you just have to make sure that you don't surpass the area that you were cutting previously. You know, if you start with that 1 guard and then you go down to the 0 guard, if you go higher with the 0 than you did with the 1, then you know you're setting yourself back. So it's not exactly the easiest method to do. It's pretty simple as long as you just keep those principles in mind. Work your way down and don't go higher than you did with your previous guard length. So something interesting too, you guys probably haven't seen me pull out an Andis Master, the cordless version. I want to say it's been at least 3 years since I've used one, maybe 2.5 years. There was one point that I had all 3 of the masters. I had the cordless master with a fade blade, I had one with a regular blade, and I had one with the fat blade. And at that time, I just have no idea what happened to the fat blade. I don't know if somebody borrowed it and it went missing, or I really don't know where it went. But I actually, one of my old YouTube videos, one of the very early ones on this channel, I used, I want to say it was electrical tape to fix the loud noise that the cordless master was making at the time. And really not that long ago, Matt from Andis, so I think it's Matt K. Andis, Filthy Blends, was the one that let us all know, like, hey, he's really revitalizing Andis. And you know, they did end up fixing the noise for this cordless master, and it runs a lot smoother than it used to. It runs smoother, and the noise, you just remember, I believe it was the I feel like it was the cam follower that moved that blade so much. It was wearing out so quick that we had to literally fill in we had to coat it with electrical tape just to make it sound normal. I mean, they used to sound really bad, and I had to get rid of all 3. But he was gracious enough to actually replace one of mine. So that was super awesome. You know, I just wanted to show a little bit of love here on this video, and you know, show you guys that the cordless master is back, and it's definitely a viable option these days. You can get them through Andis, you can get them through Filthy's website as well. All of that is linked below. So now we're moving on to the fun part of this cut, and that is the NOS part. So it's I like to help myself make these edges just a little bit smoother, a little bit more even. Sometimes it's easier to start in the middle and then work your way straight off to the lighter side. In this case, I wanted to make sure that I had full control over the darkness of that corner. So I started on this side where I knew for sure I was going to be able to control where that corner landed, so that way I could make sure that the curve part just hits perfect. So I took it from the middle straight out to that corner, and then I hit that sidebar. So using this brush, I used a brush in this case because I really wanted to make sure that I gripped all the hair, I got all the hair to lay down. And when you're starting to carve out this line, you really should only be using the corners of your blade, especially since this is going to be a smooth curve going up. You're not going to want to lay the trimmer completely flat anywhere. And you can see as this curve starts to wrap its way around, now I'm using the left corner of the trimmer blade, and just little by little just carving it out. Cut one, brush one, cut one, brush one, and just little by little. And I'm also sorry that this is so out of focus right now. I still haven't really gotten the hang of the autofocus and the manual focus, but I didn't want to skip any steps here for you guys. This is one of those things that you're gonna have to be very patient with. You're gonna have to go back and forth and cut a little and brush a little and cut a little and brush a little. Patience is key. You don't want to just go so hard at first that you don't want to try to make that line perfect on the first pass. You may work with the blade a little bit, the razor blade, to knock out a few hairs here and there. Just be very patient when working with this. And I like to make it almost like a half moon, like a crescent moon. At first, you can see when he first came in, it was just a tiny little mini part, but he requested for me to go a little deeper with it, and he gave me permission to go ahead and give him the full half moon. So enjoy the process, guys. It can be nerve-wracking, but just take your time. And then the thing is too, you have to make sure that your client has really thick hair if they're going to be doing this. I wouldn't recommend that you offer this to somebody who is thinning on the top of their hair, because as soon as that curve starts to wrap around, you could possibly cut some hair that was laying forward, making it look darker, right? But if they do have dense hair that grows on top that can handle a design, this is a old school, man. This is a classic haircut that I haven't really seen many people bring it back per se, but my guy David, man, he gets it every single week, and he gets so many compliments on it. So now that we're back to the other side of the hairline, I'm gonna go back and meet that line in the middle, and now I'll work my way off to the left corner, just little by little, taking a few hairs off at a time so I can make sure that it sits nice and even, make sure that those corners are nice and defined. And yeah, this is the process. So real quick, I just want to emphasize briefly the importance of efficiency in the barbershop. This haircut, at least the majority of it, when this clock hits 0, it's going to be right at the 18-minute mark, and the haircut is done. The fade, the balding, the lining, the edging. Now, of course, beyond that, we're going to do the razor, so that way the edge can last a little longer. We'll do a little bit of color enhancement, so that way you can artificially darken the hair, right? So those are all things to think of. The more efficient that you can cut hair in the barbershop, the more money that you're going to make. Imagine if you get $50 average on a haircut, right? I'm not saying it should be the standard, but if you can get every customer in and out in 20 minutes, it's $150 an hour. Name another career where you can do that. Now, maybe it's more manageable to get them done every 30 minutes, which is right about where I'm at. I'll get 2 haircuts in an hour. So if I'm back to back, my average ticket being $50, that's $100 an hour, and that's sustainable. So just something to think about, guys. Efficiency is a huge part of the barbershop business. Now for this next part, depending on the tools that you have on your station, if you have a detachable clipper, let's say you have the Oster Octane, let's say you have the Andis Pulse ZR or the Super ZR, you can use a quintuple 0 blade, so that way you can get it nice and tight with a powerful clipper that's going to make sure it's cut all even. But not all of us can afford the investment into a detachable clipper. They could be $300, $400, $500 depending on who you're buying it after tax. Gamma has an option that, if I'm not mistaken, is very affordable. Last time I saw one available for less than $200. I want to say it was like $130, maybe $140. The body and the motor of the clipper is the same one of the Rebel and the boosted clipper, but this one it comes with a kit installed on it where it's a balding clipper. There's no lever. You have a really nice tight fade blade along with a powerful sharp cutting teeth. It's not the skinny one that's meant for fading, for smoother blending. This is more of a harsh blunt cut, a lot more of a traditional type blade, and it's called the Gamma Skin. And of course, this is definitely one of those you can use the discount code Tito Cuts to save 50% on. Even people who aren't fans of Gamma clippers, I work next to Chris Loco over here at the Headlines in Brandon. He hates Gamma. He hates Gamma. He hates Stylecraft, and he just thinks that the clippers feel too lightweight, too plasticky. I like the lightweight, but he uses more Babyliss, so he likes that all metal feel. So he won't use anything Gamma or Stylecraft. But this is the one machine that he said, if I were to invest in anything, this is the one from Gamma. So it works out real cool. But like I said, if you already have a detachable clipper on your station, you don't necessarily need it. But if you have trimmers that you find they get worn out way too easy, they don't last, the sharpness doesn't last because you balled out with them, this is something to look into. If you feel like you feel like not wearing out your other machines, taking care of that bulk balding, then that's definitely something to look into, guys. So that link is going to be in the description below. Like I said, it's called the Gamma Skin, and it's a recreation, I would say, of the Wall 5-star balding clipper that they had way back in the day. We're talking maybe 10-12 years ago when corded clippers were the standard. So it's a pretty good machine. I enjoy it. I switch back and forth between the detachable Quintuple Zero and the Gamma Skin. They really both do the same job. So if you need something like that, I can vouch for this machine. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, here we are just with the final details. You actually can line up the mustache and stuff with the Gamma Skin clipper. I personally would just prefer to take care of the bulk with the Gamma Skin, and then I'll go back using my saber trimmer, so that way I can take care of all my lines and get them nice and crispy. But you guys can see, man, this cut is coming together super nice. I absolutely love how the fade sits on David's head. He was actually a customer that he's probably been coming to me for maybe 2 or 3 years up by now, maybe a little bit longer than that, because every time he would visit town, he would come to my chair, and at first he would get the same haircut, but he would almost like a full dark, when I say full haircut, I mean like with the part, but he would always get like a dark Caesar, to where dark sideburns down to a nice crispy point, maybe a very low taper in the back. And I kept telling him from the beginning, I was like, David, you're gonna get a bald fade one day and you're gonna love it, right? But I just mentioned it one time, never pressed him about it, and finally he came to me with a picture. He's like, bro, you wanna try this? And I was like, absolutely, I've been waiting on you, man. Absolutely. And so drop a comment below, let me know what you guys think. If you feel like this is a haircut that complements his head, I think it's super crispy, but then again, hey, it's my work, so of course I'm gonna be particular towards it. But no, I think that the haircut goes great on him, and it definitely lasts him a lot longer. Since he comes every week, he still looks faded by the time that he comes back. He just gets it tightened up again, so that way he doesn't get unruly. This is a good tip right here. Grab a wide tooth comb, not even a wide tooth comb, but I like the honeycomb because it has the grips on it. Use the scissors in those side parts, in those curved parts in the front, even in your designs, just in case if the hair is pretty dark around them. If you're doing a design on the side, I would usually recommend that you shave the head down to like a 2 or a 1.5 in that area. But I'm not going to do that to the top because I don't want to interrupt the waves that he's training. So if you use scissors, that can really help you just nick a few hairs out of there, out of that area, so that way if he forgets to brush in a moment, then it looks like there's like a little dark spot in the middle of that curve, and that's not what we're going for. So this is the Tomb 45 triple cartridge razor, and they call it triple cartridge because in the package you're gonna have 3 slides that go into the blade holder. One of them will keep your razor blade really skinny, where the only thing that's exposed is the very tip. Now, this is the safest option. Let's say if you're learning how to use the razor blade, then that's a safe option. It's very traditional. It's how most of the razors are going to be. Personally, I use the level 2, which is the medium exposure. It's not going to fully expose the blade, but in my opinion, it's going to be the most versatile. I'll be able to shave bulk areas, but at the same time, I'll be able to pick at a few hairs here and there. So it's a great option for me. Now, if you're gonna have this razor specifically for doing things like eyebrows and just a very little bit of detailing work, and you only need to pick a few hairs at a time, you can use the level 3, which is the full exposure or the high exposure slide. And that one is just gonna have the majority of the blade sticking out. So you can really just pick and choose the hairs that you take out. I like the medium one. It's most efficient to me. It can do a little bit of everything. But the choice is yours. You have all 3 levels to play with when you get this razor. And of course, the discount code for tomb45.com is Tito10 if you want to pick up that. I think they also sell it with a combo where you can get like a package and you get the Tomb45 aloe shave gel as well. So beyond the haircut, now that the haircut is done, the razor work, the edge, the part, all of that is done and taken care of, my client likes to have his hairline a little bit enhanced. You could use the Tomb45 no drip along with their air compressor gun. If you like doing the airbrush better, definitely cop that machine and save money with the discount code in the description. What we like to do as well, and him in particular, his preference is that we use Kiss Express. And the way that I get a nice balance of the Kiss Express is I like to do a small drop of the black. I think it's called actually it's just regular black, not the jet black. Please don't use jet black because that has blue undertones. But if you use regular black, a small drop of that, and also a small drop of darkest brown, and you blend those up, you mix it up, you can see right there. And using this J brush from Kiss Express helps you put a nice precise application along the edge so you can darken it up. And then you can follow up with a fading brush to spread that color into the rest of the hair. Or you can start to apply a little bit of pressure with this same J brush to help it kind of blend out. So you'll see here, I tap along the lines, and then I use that brush to spread out throughout the rest of the hair. So I like to do that all the way along the edges, especially if I'm gonna do a part like he has right here. You can take that all the way across the front to fill in that small light area that he has in the middle of his hairline. But yeah, Kiss Express lasts pretty good. I feel like it's a pretty classic color that a lot of barbers have used for many years. You got to be careful when using other colors like Just for Men or colors like Beijing, which is a lot more old school applications, because even though they do last the longest out of all color enhancements, really all of them, but the chemicals in those colors can be a little bit harsh, and your client definitely can break out, their skin can break out, and they have an allergic reaction. You never want to be the cause of a medical bill. Of course, that's definitely a huge liability. If a client were to decide to take legal action against you because of that, you could find yourself in a real bad spot. Obviously, limited liability protection, that's why we want to have an LLC and have your business structured properly, but it's just better to not take that risk at all. It's always advisable that you do a patch test. Now, that's where Tomb45 comes in. The no drip color is actually designed to where you do not need a patch test at all. It's designed to be safe for the skin, straight out the box without any sort of patch testing or anything like that. Other hair colors like Just for Men and Kiss Express and Beijing, you're definitely going to want to do a small patch test, maybe behind the ear, so that way you can just see how their skin reacts. And if they do react well, then you can proceed with the full color. But if they feel any kind of irritation, any kind of burning, I wouldn't recommend it. So, just for you guys in the barbershop, if your clients are not familiar with what colors work on them, what doesn't, no drip is going to be the best option for you. Like I said, Kiss Express is just my client's preference in this case. I like to edge up after I lay the color too, just to tighten it up a little bit. So what we're going to use next, this is a new release from Stylecraft. We all remember the Uno shaver that they came out with, but they made it even better, even more powerful, and a little more sleek looking. This is the Stylecraft Uno Shaver version 2.0, and there's a big opportunity for barbers with this. Let's say if you use my discount code, Tito Cuts, and you save 15% on this machine. Now you have access to a discount where you can buy 5, 6, 7 of these, hold them at your station, and just sell it to your client for the full price. So now you're making money off the sale, and your client is going to be able to better maintain their edges, whether it be, let's say, their widow's peak. If they like a nice detailed goatee and beard, they can use that machine at home since it has a nice slim foil, and keep those stubbles down. So you make a little bit of money off the sale when you sell your client the machine, and they stay fresh throughout the week while their hair grows back, and it makes your job easier when they come back to you the following week, or the week after. So it's definitely a win-win for all situations. Right here I'm actually using the Bronze Series 9 shaver, so that way we can polish out the bottom of this fade, get it nice and tight. In this case, we decided to use the Bronze Series 9 shaver. You could use the Babyless, you could use the Stylecraft Rebel, or you can use this one. All of them are valid. But for clients that have a tendency for their skin to break out, I would recommend asking your client, or even if there's any little inkling on their skin where you see dark spots where it's like, okay, this person has a tendency to break out, I would just completely skip this step. The Gamma Skin Clipper takes it more than tight enough to where it looks like a fully bald fade. The shaver step is going to make it actually feel smoother. So, but the thing is that if their skin can't handle that super tight shave, then you're going to run into some issues, because now they're getting ingrown hairs, they're going to have some bumps and stuff like that. It's not always a sign of a dirty barber or a dirty clipper when someone breaks out. Sometimes it just means that their hair has a tendency to get ingrowns. So just use your discretion. Have a conversation with your client. Communication is key. And now that we're almost done with this haircut, we're just finishing it up, detailing with the Tomb 45 medium exposure on the triple cartridge razor. If you're more of a beginner, go ahead and use that super slim level. Use that level 1 cartridge, so that way not so much of the blade is exposed. You saw there how I like to spread the ear away from the head. I'll use my thumb and my index finger to create a little gap there, so I can make sure that all those hairs over the ear are cut nice and tight. That's definitely something that it's easy to miss, but if you make sure that you pay attention to all those details, it's going to keep your customers happy and coming back for a long time. This is your year, but it's up to you to lock it in and make sure that it is your year. I'm going to be going really hard with the content. I know I took a little break these last 3 weeks, but moving homes and moving barbershops, it's been a little bit of an adjustment, but we're locked in now. So yeah, it ain't gonna stop now, guys. Thank you for tuning in and watching another Tito Cuts Tampa Bay video. Yeah, and this is the finished product here, man.